Hi guys, it's Mike here from Chaos Bushcraft Down Under. Had some feedback on one of my other videos from Charcoat Outdoors in the US about sharpening knives, and I think it's about time I did a really basic get started without the fancy gear. I mean, I have a Lansky sharpening system and it's fabulous and it's well worth the money, but I didn't start that way. And if you've only got a couple of knives, really you don't need it. So point 101, you'll need to know what type of blade your knife has. So this Optinel is a complete flat grind. Some refer to it as a Scandi grind, meaning that there is a continuous edge all the way down. So if you've got a knife like this, basically you can sharpen it by laying it flat on a stone, slight bevel on it because of the shape, and shave away. Most knives are more like your Victorian oxes and that have a thick spine. I call this a saber grind, by the way, and with a usually around 22-degree edge on it. And most of your knives are like this. So to get started, you want to know what the factory angle was, and if you can match that, that'd be perfect. But if you can't, 22.5 is probably going to do 90% of the blades. I know my Habaless Bush tool has 30, and so it's a more robust edge. So you want to maintain that angle. Now that's a bit tricky. But cheap and cheerful piece of paper. It's a regular bit of paper I pinched from the printer. So that is 45 degrees. That is half of 45 degrees. So that angle there is 22.5. Now that's the angle that you want to be removing metal from the blade. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could just tear that off, come up to your stone, go, oh, that's about the angle I want. Yeah, that there. So you can see it's just, you're trying to mirror the wrong blade to be doing that with. Say this one. That is what I want to be shaving the top of that blade with. Okay. So what I did the paper method, that works fine. Then I went out to the shed and I cut a block of wood. So I just transposed the angle, and that is what you need to get into your mind, is to maintain that. So I wouldn't recommend starting with a really small stone and a big knife, or a big knife and a small stone, because that'll just cut your fingers off. So this here is a carbundum stone, so it's a water stone. I've had it for eons. It's got a rough side and a smoother side. And I went down to the thrift store, and for 20 cents, now I'm just lubricating that with a mixture of water and dishwashing liquid. So, and pay 20 cents for this knife, which is what I recommend you do before tackling a good quality one. Go to the thrift store, and this knife here is absolutely no edge on it at all. So this is mounted in a wooden block. So that is what I want to achieve. I want to start and hold that angle all the way through. Now I'll come on an angle. So coming off the glide, and hold that. So you can set that here if you wanted to. So what I'm achieving, after count your strokes, it's helpful. So at a certain point I'm starting to put an edge on there, and if I've run my fingernail on the back edge, I'm starting to get a little bit of a burr. Fortunately my working slab here is not flat. As you can see, I'm starting to take off bits of the stone, and the water actually helps the grit and rubbish float off the stone, which is what it's there for. So maybe go say 10 strokes. Now this is generally pretty straightforward to get through in your head. If you're like most guys, you're right-handed, left-handed, when you come to do this side, a lot of them struggle to turn the blade into each hand because they're not ambidextrous. So what tends to happen, I actually prefer to do it, and I'll show you this way, probably a better way of showing you. Okay, as I'm drawing the blade towards me, I'm maintaining the angle with my finger. Now, the usual mistake people make, and it's already a lot sharper, is as they bring it towards them, is they'll do this. They'll just bring that blade up a little bit, like that. Now what I've just done there is I've completely taken the edge off it. Virtually in one stroke you can nullify most of your work just by losing the angle and coming up a fraction. So I suggest you do it towards yourself, maybe not if you're using a little tiny stone, but yeah, maintain that angle. Don't worry about doing it quick or fast or anything like that. It's consistency. So same again when I go back. So already you can start to see the edge appearing here and there. Now this is a super cheapy stainless knife, so I'm not expecting it to do wonders. But there's a slicing edge already. So that was what, 10 or 12 strokes on the rough side. Now the smoother side, I'll take it out of the holder, make it more realistic for first timers. One, two, three, four, one, two, three. Well, try and keep it even, because if you don't, your Scandi grind will move over from the blade thickness off center. So we went from super dull, super cheap kitchen knife to being able to slice paper within a couple of minutes. Anyway, I hope you found this intro useful. Thanks for watching, guys.